So unless you were hiding under a rock, you know by now that there is a lot of internal strife among the nations on the earth. And I don't know anywhere where you can find that there is not. Even in Israel, there is internal strife in the state of Israel. But today I'm going to focus on some internal strife going on in the United States. And everybody knows that were it not for the United States, the world would be engulfed in a chasm of just unthinkable tragedy and worse. They have made themselves the world's policemen, if you will. Okay? And let me remind you, though, that eugenics was authored by people in the United States and in Great Britain. It's just that when Germany started implementing it in the 1930s and started their Great War, the Anglo-Saxons were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They wanted it more covertly. But anyway, I digress. So, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, or it might have been the day before yesterday. Um, where is this? I suppose I could go and look it up, Google it, but a court in Colorado, the Supreme Court of Colorado, and the reason why I'm scrolling through here is because they had another state, I think it was Michigan, that was planning on removing Donald Trump from the ballot like they did right here. So 54% of Americans, this is the Drudge Report, and they were bought out by some liberal organization. So you got to take their, you got to just see it for what it is. 54% of Americans approve of Colorado kicking Trump off the ballot. Now, I am not a Trump supporter. I am not a Biden supporter. In fact, I am not even a supporter of this particular government. So it means nothing to me, but except that everyone needs to be prepared for what happens next. Justice is flooded with threats. I wonder why. Michigan could be the next state to remove. California exploring options. Republicans float booting Biden. Now, do you recall when the last time this happened? Can you take a wild guess? Let me show you something here, folks. 10 states remove Lincoln ballot. Watch this. Now, I don't know who Upworthy is, but let's look at that time Democrats removed Abe Lincoln from the ballot. Take a look at this. The campaign was heated. Lincoln and the Republicans were not even on the ballot in the states of the Deep South. Although Lincoln won only 40% of the popular vote, the split of the Democratic Party enabled him to secure a comfortable majority in the Electoral College. You see, folks, so Abe Lincoln in the Deep South, I believe it was 10, was taken off the ballot. Do you remember what happened next? Civil War. Now, this particular, I have gone over the sixth shofar sound a lot. And I've been able to prove that verse 17 is very similar to the Yars mobile ICBMs of Russia, with that the colors of the ribbon of St. George on the breastplate. I have extensively in my videos for what, 2 years now, over 2 years, pointed this out. But this here, why would something like this be happening here? Now, I did do a video where you can conceivably conclude that the United States of America and their helicopters did, in fact, spray chemical or biological, or what was it? Nerve gas. That's right, nerve gas on the Chinese, the Koreans, and in Vietnam. I did a video about that with some evidence that that occurred. But I said, but is that what this is? Well, I said, we do not know what this is or what it's referring to. Is there going to be civil war? Well, when you see these headlines and you look into the past, you know that history has a habit of repeating itself. You go into a time of economic prosperity, as what happened just before the American war between the states, a civil war, however way you want to call it. And then the war happened. And then a period of devastation. Folks, if you can't see that this is about to happen, then I don't know how to help you. But if you do see that this is about to happen, I'm going to try to help you today. In this particular, let's go ahead and read through this. And the fifth messenger sounded, Revelation 9, verse 1, and I saw a star fall from the sky unto the earth. And to him was given the key to the Abyssos. The Abyssos is the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Satan was cast out of the sky, away from the throne, shortly after Yehoshua rose up. So this begins way, way, way back before 70 AD on the Roman calendar, and then it continues all the way towards the end. Now, he opened the abyss, and there arose a great smoke out of the abyss. And as the smoke of a great furnace, the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke. This was a vision of Yohanan. Just because he saw that smoke, that doesn't mean that you and I are going to see that smoke. It is a vision. Just like Joseph had the vision of the fat cows and the lean cows. Okay? It was a vision. Then Joseph explained the vision to Pharaoh and told Pharaoh that there was going to be 7 years of fat and plenty and 7 years of great famine. We're supposed to use our brains here, folks. Smoke of the Abyssos. And what is the center of the Abyssos, people? Rome and the Roman Empire. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. And upon them was given, and unto them was given power. Like scorpions of the earth have power. So it is obviously not a creature. And it was commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth. Well, grasshoppers, locusts, in order to even survive, they have to eat grass. So these are not things that eat to live. Okay? I think you can figure it out as we go along. Neither any green thing at all. So they don't eat green things. What do they survive on? Petrol? Neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of not God, not God, not Deus, and not Dios, but Jehovah in their forehead. Now, what at this point in time is a seal of Jehovah? A seal. And is it in their head or on their head? It can be, watch this, on, to, against, on the basis of. On the basis of, that would mean the name of Jehovah in their head. Let me show you something, just to make sure you folks understand plainly here. This will make it very simple to understand. It would be in Yoel. I'm learning how to say the name Yoel properly, and I hope you do as well. Okay. We go to Strong's Concordance. Here is how you have the seal of Jehovah in your brain. And it shall, or it says, those who call upon, proclaim with your mouth, or read. Shem, the name, not of the Lord, but Jehovah. So you know that the Creator, the Elohim, is Jehovah. And that is how you refer to him as. You do not refer to him as God, God, or Dios, or Deus. You just don't. His name is Jehovah. And furthermore, let's go and pull up another scripture. Unfortunately, I have to do it like this here. me see what pulls up. It's in Isaiah somewhere. Okay, right here. I went to the other day into this scripture, Isaiah 48 and 42 and verse 8. Jehovah is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, and I will not give my praise to graven images. So when you bow down to that graven image in your church on Sunday, this is unacceptable to who? Jehovah. You can see it right there. Open your eyes and look. Right here. Jehovah. Okay? He says that is his name and he will not accept anything else. So let us continue with Yoel. And it doesn't say it shall come to pass that whosoever. It just says to call Shem Jehovah shall be delivered in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem. So that will never change, folks. You cannot exchange this truth right here for a rapture doctrine that takes you to heaven while the earth is being destroyed. That does not work. Because you see here, folks, this happens when the sun turns dark and the moon into blood, facing the great and terrible day of Jehovah's wrath. Okay? And what happens facing the day of Jehovah's wrath? Portents in the sky and in the earth, blood, fire, and Timara, palm-like columns of smoke. See that? Does that look like a palm tree to you? Blood in the sky, blood in the earth, palm-like columns of smoke. All right. Now, but what if there is civil unrest over the whole earth when this happens? Well, Haggai does seem to indicate that there will be civil unrest as well as world war. Again, the word of not the Lord, but Jehovah came to Haggai in the 24th day of the month. And I have spoken about this often. That is in reference to the first day of Hanukkah or the evening of before Hanukkah. Speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Yehuda, saying, I will shake the sky and the earth, and I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the Gentiles, the Goy, and I will overthrow their chariots and those that ride in them, and the Sus, that would be the warbirds and whatever else might be on the ground. And their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his what? Ach means brother. Take a look around you. There's civil unrest everywhere. And these headlines right up here show that the United States of America, the world's policeman, if once again history has any benefit at all, if history has any smidgen of reproof, we are going to head into a civil war in 2024. So what should you do about this, folks? And I have talked about this extensively too, but I have also warned that these things will not save you on the day of judgment. But prudence, is it not? Let's be prudent, folks. All right. I recommend, now you can go to your local grocery store and stockpile if you want to, or you can do like this. But it costs, to ship. But the more you ship, the less the cost of shipping is going to be. And also on websteronstore.com, they're going to ask you to put the name of your company. You just make up a name if you don't have one, okay? And that will be acceptable. You can get navy beans by 20 pounds at a time, and you can order an almost infinite amount of 20-pound boxes of navy beans. Or if you like black beans, let's see here. Dried beans. Oh yeah, you got dried black beans, 50-pound bags. Look at this, folks. Dried pinto beans, 50-pound bags, less than $1 a pound. Look at this. You got every kind of beans you can possibly imagine, folks. Okay? Split peas, lentils, red beans. The list goes on and on and on. Okay? Or you can try rice. And I would suggest parboiled rice. Let's see if they can pull it up here. See? I mean, look at this. What kind of rice do you want, right? Black rice too? Jasmine rice? Basmati rice? I'm looking for the it's just so many of it, but they have parboiled rice in here too. You just have to go and look for it if you want it. Okay? Just on and on. The list is on and on and on. Well, what would you store them in, folks? Trash cans at Walmart is a good one. Now you can, well, how would you keep them from getting worms? Well, diatomaceous earth. You haven't heard of diatomaceous earth? Well, then you probably should um, look into that. You can go on Amazon and order diatomaceous earth, or you can even go to your local Walmart and you can find diatomaceous earth for dirt cheap, like $10 a bag. And that $10 bag will, you just mix about a heaping tablespoon in a gallon of beans or rice, and just don't breathe it. You might need to wear a mask over your face when you're mixing it. But it was said that Joseph, in the days of ancient Egypt, used diatomaceous earth mixed with the grains in order to um, keep the grains and things for the 7 or the 14 years that he was ruling in Egypt. Am I saying that this is going to save you? No. But what I would like to do is go to Matityahu 24 and 25. We'll start in 25 first. Then shall the kingdom of the heaven be like unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And the 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. You know, or it's like driving in the car and you didn't fill your gas tank and you're going to go on a long trip. Well, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to run out of gas. Okay. But the wise took oil in vessels alongside with their lamps. They took a vessel. Each took a extra vessel while the bridegroom tarried, delayed. You see that? To spend or take time or delayed. And they all, every one of them, went to sleep, slumbered and slept. And the lamps were still burning. And at midnight there was a cry made. Not at midnight, it just says in the midst. But in the midst, or in the middle of, or between. You could concur it was midnight, but I was wanted to point this out. It does not necessarily mean midnight, but connecting the 2 times probably would be better. There was a cry made. Behold, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. And then all of those virgins arose. And what were these virgins anyway? They were, in a figure of speech, bridesmaids. Arose. They woke up and trimmed their lamps. But the foolish said unto wise, give us of your oil, because our lamps went out. And the wise answered and said, not so, lest there be not enough for us. So the wise were prudent. They had extra supplies, and they were not going to give their extra supplies to the ones who were not prudent, because there wouldn't be enough for them and you, but go rather to them that sell. Sell? Well, you can't buy or sell the truth, can you? No. And buy for yourselves. So to buy and sell is to implicate supplies, folks. Oil just so happened to be a supply. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. Now, what happens when the bridegroom comes? We go and look in Titiyahu 24. So, wherever the dead bodies are, that is where the fall, misfortune, and ruin, where the vultures be gathered together. And we see that in Ezekiel 39, if you care to read it. Everybody's going to see it, because as the lightning comes out of the east and shines all the way to the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Now, after the tribulation of those days, what days? After this tribulation, the tribulation upon the Jews, which occurred in 70 AD on the Roman calendar. This event occurred 70 AD on the Roman calendar, and it continued until the time of the Gentiles comes to the end, as it says right here, until the time of the Gentiles is finished. Okay? Same thing. So that continued until it is time to gather up all Israel. And that time to gather up all Israel is very near, folks. Okay? So after Israel's tribulation, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. Where did we just read that? We just read that in Yoel 2. And the stars shall fall from the sky. What stars fall from the sky? Yoel 2 says, blood in the earth, blood in the sky, and palm-like columns of smoke. And the powers of the sky shall be shaken, and I am sure that along with the nuclear weapons, that meteorites will fall out of the sky as well. And then, we got timelines here, we got a sequence. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the sky, and all of the tribes of the earth what shall be stricken, shall be cut off. So if you wait until Yehoshua comes to prepare your victuals, yourself in every way, it will be too late. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of the sky with power and great glory, and he shall send his messengers, the two witnesses, as written in Isaiah 66. In the last half, you will plainly see that he's going to send fugitives to the great nations, to Tarshish first, all the way from the west to the east, to gather all Israel from these lands, and they, the two witnesses, will show his glory to the Gentiles. And you can read about exactly what they're going to do in Revelation 11. And the first thing on the agenda is going to be 3.5 years of no rain. And what happens when you have no rain? You have no food. Then he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. Isaiah 45, I believe it is. Let's see, is it 45 or 46 in verse 4? Or is it 40? Let's have a look. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect, I have even called you by your name. I have surnamed you, though you have not. He's talking about Israel. Now, what does he say? He says the same thing in this particular scripture, that Jehovah, there is nobody else, there is no Elohim besides me, or he's the only Elohim, the only one. Now, so the elect, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect. And then we go to Yoel, no, not Yoel, Romans 11. Romans 11. And let's see what Paul says. He says the same thing. He says to the Romans in verse 25, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that partial blindness happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles. What did we see here? If we go to right here, fullness of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Same thing. All right? And so all Israel shall be saved. That means we go back here after Israel's tribulation of those days shall have said, this is the tribulation upon the Gentiles. And we can see it further when we look at Luke, where it says here, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress upon the what? Gentiles. That's right. So if there's distress upon the Gentiles, who then is he talking about here? Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. And when you see these things begin to come to pass, and look up and lift up your heads, he's not talking about Gentiles, he's talking about Israel. For Israel's redemption draws nigh. Now, oh, what did I do? Right. So be ready. How are you going to be ready? You have oil in your lamps? Do you have dried beans and rice? This is what you're going to need. Dried beans and rice. Okay? You'll need it, folks, because it should be obvious to you by now that they are going to start another civil war. And do not forget what General Sherman did in the South. He burned all their fields. You think your government won't do that to you? And do you think that when you go and read the book of Revelation, where was that? When you read the book of Revelation, in verse 9, and you read this section right here, it says to them, it was given that they should not kill these men. So apparently, those who have the name or Shem Yehovah in their foreheads will not be affected by this. But that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as a torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. Now, if you Google it and research it carefully, you will notice that the sting of a scorpion and certain, shall we say, unlethal nerve weapons have the same effect. Would your own government do that? Of course they would. Didn't your own government try to wipe out certain races within the country through eugenics? They are still trying to do it. When he strikes a man, in those days men shall seek death and shall not find it. Why? What do you mean by that? Well, they're immobilized. They can't do anything, and they can't even kill their own selves. That's how bad it is. And they shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Okay? And what I've said, this looks very similar to helicopters, especially when you see the crowns like a gold crown. I say that it looks like the radar dome on top of these helicopters. It's on top of Apaches. All right, it says their faces were as the faces of men. Well, I don't know if it's like that. Helicopters like that. We got two windshields, like two eyes. And I don't know about the hair of women unless it's the chaff that a helicopter can throw out. Teeth of lions, well, they use that occasionally, and it's Western countries that do it. And the English and the Americans started doing that in the, was it after when they started making helicopters for war? And breastplates like it was of iron. And that right there should tell you, folks. Similar to breastplates of iron. And the sounds of their wings are a sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Well, that's a sound of helicopter, folks. And they had tail like a scorpion does. Well, a helicopter also has a tail like a scorpion does. And there were not stings, folks, a sharp point on the tail. Well, guess what? Helicopters do too. And the power was to hurt men for 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is a messenger of the abyss, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. And I showed you that Abaddon and Helios are the same thing. And I want to show you listen, watch carefully, folks. You might get a awakening this morning. Helios. Colossus. I want you to see this. Look at it carefully. Now, the Colossus of Rhodes was eventually destroyed. Okay, but I want you to look at it carefully. Do you see this? Helios and Apollyon is the same thing. Please go back a couple of videos, listen to the last 2 or 3 videos, and you will see that I talk extensively about the sun god, Helios, Apollyon, all of that, and let me show you Statue of Liberty. Images. This is actually Helios and Apollyon right here. Let's get this. Come on, I'm trying to get it. Okay. So let's compare. All right. So you have Helios here. You have the Statue of Liberty. It's the same thing. This is Apollyon. And why then would they do this to their own people in the book of Revelation? Why would they do this? Because, folks, there's a civil war. That's why. And I'm going to, I don't want to take any more time, but Son God, well, we just read that, right? Well, then how about, uh, well, right here they're saying Apollon is not Hellenic sun deity, rather it is also Helios. Also, okay. So they are the same. I just proved it in my previous video. Um, let's see. I don't. mm, I would say go back to. Let me see. Here's what I'll do. I'll go to. We'll see if we can find this video. It might be on YouTube. The YouTube is taking a long time to load up this morning. So let's go look up. And look at this, try to figure out which video that I would have on it because I think I missed one on BitChute. All right. Only 237 subscribers, folks. Okay, content. It is either this one, the Star of Molech, Chian, an 8-pointed star, or it is Jewish Messiah. I think it's the Jewish Messiah could not possibly be. Um, there we go. It would be in this particular video. So I would strongly recommend that you watch that video and you will plainly see that Apollyon and Helios are the same thing. Okay? So I think that'll be all for today.